what's going on in our lineup here on The Now. There's a new debate about whether kids should be learning about gun safety in schools, what these classes would teach, and why some people are questioning if they'd work. And there's a new push to get better laws to keep us safe on the roads, how the proposed changes could also help you save. And one girls' basketball team is getting attention not only for their skills on the court, the bigger impact these teens shooting hoops and headscarves are having.
Thank you, Annie. I'm Amanda Starantino, and you're watching The Now Indy. Democrats in the Indiana Senate are trying yet again to make changes to the state's marijuana laws, but it looks like it won't happen in 2020. Today, Indiana Senate Democrats discussed a few proposals related to marijuana and urged them to get a hearing. One of them would reduce the penalty for possession of less than 1 ounce to an infraction for a first offense. Today, the bill's author cited how other states have decriminalized or even legalized marijuana. Illinois and Michigan are recreational legalized, and Ohio decriminalized marijuana decades ago.
And I point out that one of them, our neighbor, Ohio, did that, now get this, did that in 1975. That was 45 years ago. And the last time I looked, Ohio does not have a history of reefer madness.
A hearing has not been scheduled for Senator Tallien's bill. That is unlikely to change, with the Republican supermajority opposing any changes in marijuana laws. Another bill discussed today could change a major policy by the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. Republican Senator Michael Young authored Senate Bill 436, which would give the state's Attorney General the ability to prosecute some crimes if the county prosecutor declines to. Last year, Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears said his office will no longer prosecute simple marijuana possession charges, and some Democratic lawmakers support Mears' right to do that.
This means that the state of Indiana would trample on the rights of local government and local prosecutors' decision-making power. Indianapolis' new policy on small amounts of marijuana possession is now in jeopardy and is being negated by the Attorney General.
Young's bill is scheduled for a hearing and a vote Monday. We will keep you updated on the bill's status as it changes. Kyle.
It has been a cold week here in central Indiana, but making progress today. We made it back into the middle 40s, 10 degrees warmer than yesterday afternoon. Now the trade-off, we've got some clouds, but this warm-up is ahead of our next round of precipitation, and that's largely going to come in the form of some rain. You can see the big picture here. There's snow back around St. Louis, but a lot of rain is going to be working its way from the south. As we go in for a little closer view, everything is very light. Had some reports of mixed precipitation around the Monticello area, but again, just some very light rain showers around Columbus and into Seymour this evening. TrueCast shows that will continue to build from the south and increase in coverage here as we go through the next several hours. But this is generally going to be very light rain, keeping the snow back into portions of Illinois right on through 11 o'clock tonight. And there you can see a few more of those showers as we go through the overnight and tomorrow morning for your drive to work and as the kids are heading off to school. Temperature-wise, we're still sitting in the 40s, right at 40 in Lafayette and Marion, 45 for you in Bloomington. And that temperature trend keeping us with all rain tonight, with those numbers staying above the freezing mark in the middle to upper 30s. Annie?
The CDC has raised its travel alert to China to level 3 due to the coronavirus outbreak. It recommends people avoid all travel to Wuhan, China if it's not essential. Several cities are under lockdown in order to contain the virus. Now, the country has reported the first death outside of the virus epicenter in Wuhan. Major events have been canceled in Beijing. The State Department is cracking down on birth tourism. That's when a pregnant woman from another country comes to the U.S. to have her baby so it becomes an American citizen. New rules set to take place tomorrow instruct foreign embassies to deny certain tourist visa requests. Then it's up to the woman to try and convince authorities she has another reason for visiting the U.S. An estimated 10,000 babies of foreign parents are born in the U.S. every year. The way your FICO credit score is calculated is changing. The creator will start using a new algorithm soon. Financial experts say spikes in spending will not count as heavily toward your score, but people with rising debt will be scored more harshly.
It seems that negative behaviors that are dragging people's credit scores down could perhaps be magnified under FICO 10, especially if they're recent, whereas people who have really good scores should continue to enjoy really good scores. So it's all about these good habits over time.
That may make it more difficult for some to get approved for loans or even lines of credit. Lenders may use the new FICO 10 algorithm because of the much lower default rates it's supposed to offer. However, the most commonly used formula is FICO 8, which tends to help people with different types of accounts, credit cards, mortgages, and car loans. However, there's a lot of variation in what algorithm lenders use. So financial experts at creditcards.com say it's important we just focus on the fundamentals. We're talking about paying bills on time, keeping debts low, and making sure errors on our report are corrected. Well, if you receive a text or even an email from FedEx, be careful before opening it. FedEx is warning customers there have been recent scams where people reported receiving messages alerting them that they have a package, and then it gives you a link. FedEx says the messages are not from them. It advises the messages should be deleted without being opened. The emails and texts should also be reported to abuse@fedex.com. Well, ahead in our lineup, there is a new push to get better laws to keep us safe on the roads. How the proposed changes could also help you save.
Furniture and mattress store, Ashley Home Store.
Most of us like to shop for bargains. Then why do we overpay so much for some things? Consumer reporter John Matarese shows the most overpriced things that many people continue to pay for so you don't waste your money.
Thanks to big box stores, dollar stores, and Amazon, prices of many items haven't gone up much in recent years. But some things have, and we're now paying ridiculous markups on them. You can buy a book on Amazon for just a few bucks, but then why do college textbooks cost hundreds of dollars each?
$400, $500 for a book.
A report by CheatSheet.com lists college textbooks with a 40% markup as one of the most ridiculously overpriced items we keep paying way too much for. Also on the list, name brand cosmetics, a 78% markup over generic. Airport food, a 200% markup over what you'd pay in the supermarket. Name brand printer ink, a 300% markup. Designer jeans, a 500% markup compared with basic jeans. And Beats by Dre headphones, which it calls $18 headphones for $200. For the dozen that stink file, the most ridiculously overpriced item of all, movie theater popcorn with a 1,000% markup. Doesn't that stink? The report says you're paying more than $5 for 49 cents worth of popcorn. In some of these cases, you can save a lot if you skip the name brand and look for an off-brand that's almost as good. That way you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese for RTV6.
Amtrak is making a change after it was the center of controversy this week. The company suspending a policy where it charged extra to make accommodations for people in wheelchairs. Amtrak apologized this week after a group of people in wheelchairs were hit with a $25,000 bill. Well, it's one of the most dangerous things we do on a regular basis, drive or ride in a car. Today, traffic safety advocates are making a case for states to improve life-saving legislation.
So many tragic consequences have come to bear because my eyes were not on the road for 5 seconds. I carry sorrow and guilt on my heart that I doubt will ever be lifted.
Jennifer Weaver telling her story in Capitol Hill today. She was involved in a car crash in 2015 that killed another driver. Weaver was found at fault because she looked down at her cell phone at the time of the crash. Restricting all cell phone use by drivers is one of the 16 essential traffic safety laws recommended in the Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety's annual report. It's a report card on how states are doing in terms of proven traffic safety laws. Now, no state has all 16 recommended laws in place. And any state that still doesn't have a law addressing seatbelt use can't get a green rating. This is especially concerning because of the amount of people using ride sharing and riding in the back seat without buckling up.
Nearly half of all people who are killed in crashes are not buckled up. Nearly a third of all crashes are alcohol related.
Now, another emerging concern in terms of impaired driving is marijuana and the lack of ways to address it.
One of the challenges with drug-impaired driving right now is that we don't have enough data. So that's going to be essential as these states enact laws that allow for the recreational use, that they incorporate collecting the data along the way.
New traffic safety legislation can also save drivers money. The report estimates crashes cost every person in the U.S. almost $800 a year when you take into account things like insurance increases, health care costs, damage, and loss of work. This report will be sent to all governors to encourage passing new laws. Well, more in our lineup. One girls basketball team is getting attention not only for their skills on the court, the bigger impact these teens shooting hoops and headscarves are having.
Aboard, RTV6 is working for you.
Let's check the Now News feed. A woman serving jail time for sending her boyfriend texts urging him to kill himself has been released from jail. Michelle Carter is getting out 3 months early on her 15-month sentence. Carter's boyfriend killed himself back in 2014. A new study says younger football players get concussions easier than older players. But when it comes to total injuries, researchers at Virginia Tech say younger athletes are getting hurt less frequently. They stress that better equipment is also needed for children. The world is inching closer to the end of time. Well, that's if you believe in the doomsday clock. Scientists moving that time forward today to 100 seconds from midnight. So when the clock strikes 12, that's supposed to symbolize the end of the world. A girls' high school basketball team is getting international attention, not only for their athleticism on the court, but for blazing a trail for young Muslim women. Usher Qureshi visited with the team that is breaking barriers and shattering stereotypes.
I know I have to play with purpose. Stay low. As soon as I step foot onto the court, like nothing else matters.
I want you in the middle of the court here. Like you get the looks and the stares and you feel a little bit of the discomfort.
I see my scarf as a shield, not a downfall.
Shooting hoops in headscarf. This varsity girls basketball team plays to win.
We can play ball just like any other team. We might even be better than the other teams, you know.
But team captain Esra Salim says it's not just about playing basketball.
We're a Muslim woman playing basketball. We're breaking all the stereotypes that people have about us.
For the Lady Salam Stars, taking to the court is as much about winning as it is about changing hearts and minds. Salim says she's found inspiration in other elite athletes who are paving the way.
I think Imtiaz Muhammad, like she was the first Muslim woman athlete. It was really cool to see like her fencing internationally and everything.
The team has found itself in the spotlight, grabbing national headlines and attention, adding to the pressures they already tackle on the court. The girls say they know they represent more than just a team, and their actions on the court could influence how all Muslims are viewed.
I think it took me a couple years to really realize like the responsibility that these girls carry every day when they're on the basketball court.
It's a responsibility they do not take lightly.
I see it as like, you know, I'm a Muslim. I'm carrying my religion and I'm proud of it.
The players have a waiver from the State Athletic Association to wear the headscarf or hijab, as well as long-sleeve t-shirts and sweatpants. But appearances aside, the Salam Star players say they really only want to excel.
We're like everybody else, you know, we're just out there to play basketball just like everybody else. We enjoy the sport, we just want to go there and play the sport.
Stars on 3.
1, 2, 3, stars!
Reporting from Milwaukee, I'm Usher Qureshi.
Disney is coming to life at Bankers Life Fieldhouse with the Disney on Ice tour in town. But for some kids, they can't enjoy it the same way others can. Students from Indiana School for the Blind and Visually Impaired took in a performance today with all of their senses. Now, staff from the school say the students enjoy it just as much as other kids because they can feel the chill from the ice, hear the music to all their favorite Disney movies, and feel what these characters look like. The students today got to chat with some of their favorite Disney characters, too.
It allows them to actually know exactly what the characters are like. They can feel the size of them. They can feel the different textures, and so many of them have a lot of different textures. And that then helps them visualize what they're actually seeing along with everyone else.
The students also got VIP seating and a private luncheon at the event, and it looks like the Disney stars had just as much fun as the students did.
A very cool experience
Very
for
neat.
them. All right, as we check out the view over downtown Indianapolis, the clouds have rolled back in, and they are eventually going to lead to some rain showers here across parts of Indiana. As we look at temperatures right now, we're in pretty good shape here for the middle to latter part of January. We've got numbers generally in the 40s, 43 downtown. One of the exceptions, though, Crawfordsville coming in at 38 degrees. Satellite and radar shows we've got some scattered showers. We mentioned around the Monticello area, see these pockets of yellow, may mix in a little bit of of sleet, not going to have an impact and won't last very long. It's just plain old light rain showers from Greensburg into Columbus, around Nashville, and around Bloomfield here in portions of Greene County. Again, all that's going to lift to the north and increase here as we go through this evening, with those temperatures getting down into the 30s by 9 o'clock. So it is going to be a chilly rain, especially with that southeast breeze. Here's a look at TrueCast as we go into tomorrow morning. The rain is going to be fairly widespread for us, but generally on the lighter side of things here. We'll get a little bit of a break as we go into tomorrow evening, with that rain adding up generally about a half an inch. Could see some slightly higher totals here around Richmond and Collinsville. Temperatures will make their way into the 40s for the afternoon high. So once again, we are back above average. And then as we go into the overnight hours of Friday into Saturday, we start to get a little bit of a wintry mix here. But notice this line, that's the freezing line. So even as the snow does come down on Saturday, expecting that to generally melt as it reaches the ground. Here's a look at the next few days of your forecast. A little chilly for the weekend, but a warming trend early next week. Annie?
Checking the Now news feed. The middle class could see new tax cuts. The Trump administration is considering what would be its second round of cuts. The Treasury Secretary says he is aware of the growing deficit, but the administration saying it believes the cuts will pay for themselves. And Apple is encouraging people to work out, so they're rolling out Apple Watch Connected. So if you work out at certain places, you can get gift cards or even earn money towards the cost of your watch. And former President Obama and his wife are going on tour. Okay, well, sort of. The couple's portraits will visit 5 cities next year starting in June. The cities include Chicago, Brooklyn, LA, Atlanta, and Houston. The obstacles our veterans face can be difficult for others to comprehend, but Chris Stewart takes us to a place where they're facing them head on with melody and lyrics.
That's what songwriting did for me, is healing. My tour in the Army didn't end good.
Much of Sean Macra's life has been a fight. But through the struggle, music has always been there. He served 11 years in the Army, including 3 year-long tours in Iraq.
Ugly side of life that you have to see, and not just the combat side, but just with people in general. You know, it brings the worst out. I got addicted to painkillers. It's a very common story with soldiers. I ended up in jail, and that was the first time in the whole 11 years that I actually was like, okay, I can just surrender here.
Every Monday night in San Marcos, Texas, Sean and fellow veterans meet to use lyrics as ammunition in a battle often fought away from the front lines.
It's so intense because every word and every strum of the guitar is releasing, it's purging, and it's beautiful, but it's painful, you know.
Didn't enlist from the military, but this is what I know how to do, so this is something that I can offer at least.
Dustin Welch is the musician who founded this group, Soldier Songs and Voices.
It's all directed towards writing songs and being able to use your voice, taking these stories and turning them into something that only songs can do.
Didn't open. It pulls something out of you that's not going to come out of you any other way. And it's a way to communicate, I think, with other people.
This group has grown to more than a dozen chapters, showing the power this can have.
Take mud and you make a sculpture out of it. You can take the same thing and you can mold it into whatever you want it to be and tell the story, you know, and then set it free, man. Just set those emotions free and let them go.
Chris, thank you. Well, finally in our lineup, there's a new debate about whether kids should be learning about gun safety in school, what these classes would teach, and why some people are questioning if they'd work.